There's still half a cheese platter out there. And we've paid for it, so I'm just saying, it's not going back. All right. What a really great job by that first panel. Let's give them one more. And not to be outdone, our second panel on corporate ROI, the state of TMCs in 2025 and beyond. I'd like to welcome our moderator, Lee Thomas, co-founder of New Travel and our ASTA board chair.
Thank you, everybody. So like Eric, I'd like to welcome the panelists up. And I have a very esteemed panel as I was thinking about it a little bit. We have two former ASTA chairs, one corporate advisory chair, and one soon-to-be corporate advisory chair. So I've got quite the level of expertise up here.
Oh man, that's a
If we could, just quickly, a quick introduction.
Sure. Matthew Bedell, Senior Vice President, BCD Travel.
Alex Eaton, World Travel Tulsa.
Jay Ellenby, President of Safe Harbors Business Travel in Baltimore.
Dave Hirschberger, Prestige Travel, Ohio and Northern Kentucky.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Yeah. So, you know, we had the fluff with leisure travel earlier this morning, so we're going to move on.
Oh.
I couldn't help myself. Right. No, we're going to dig into corporate travel, which is obviously key, and we think about what's going on with ASTA today as we're getting ready for Legislative Day, but also joining at the end of this, we're having our big first corporate event. So corporate travel has been taking a little higher priority, I think, within ASTA than it has in the past. So I'm excited about having the panel discussion today, and we'll proceed. So thank you, everybody, for joining me. So we'll get started. We'll talk a little bit, Zane talked earlier about the GBTA ASTA joint discovery and the return on investment. He talked about a 20 cents per dollar spent on travel generating a return. I like to think of that more in terms of 20%, so we'll adjust it just a little bit, Zane. But Jay, why don't you get us started here? With the new GBTA ASTA report, it says business travel can return almost 20% for every dollar spent. How can travel companies help leaders explain this to finance teams who may be skeptical?
Yeah. I just can't notice, though, by Alex's socks. Alex, can you first explain 100 and... Oh, you got your Delta socks.
100 years of Delta Airlines. Let's go.
Delta socks.
Come on.
So yes, return on investment, 20%. This is something we often talk to any prospective client who is unmanaged, who currently doesn't have a travel program in place. And when you say 20%, let's just use real simple math. We're looking at $1 million. That's $200,000 in savings. There's multiple things that they can do to get that kind of savings. So what we have is we have a document. It's a spreadsheet, easily plug and play type of document that plugs in their average spend. If it's, let's say it's $1 million in the hotel and car, and then maybe what their average refunds and so on. And it tells them exactly what that model is going to look like. And it's stunning. It is absolutely stunning. So they're the kind of tools that we help provide our prospective clients to get that kind of savings. And but it all comes down to the culture of the company. Who are the ones that are willing to make that step? So that's always the big question.
Yeah. Dave, can I get you to sort of elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. I would actually question the 20%. I think if you go from a totally unmanaged travel account and put in a well thought out, well implemented travel program, I think 25 or 30% is more realistic. Yeah. And I think as far as selling it to people, we always try to hit with the lowest hanging fruit. People understand that there's a lot of unused tickets out there. And it's all you have to ask them is, how do you track them? Right. How many dollars in unused tickets do you have out there? And they have no idea.
Right.
And so, and industry numbers that I've heard on that is anywhere from 7% to 10% of your travel spend could be sitting out there in unused tickets. It's just one category. You take corporate air programs, corporate hotel programs, following basic travel policy and make them fulfill that. It's an easy number to hit 20%, going from a totally unmanaged program.
Yeah, and it definitely has to resonate with the executive team, right, as we think about the return on that investment. So, Kathy, many businesses believe buying has become a commodity. Buying travel services has become a commodity. Can you really differentiate service in today's world?
Absolutely, you can. Again, if you look at, and back to what Jay was saying about unmanaged travel, I think we all saw a change after or during the pandemic. So companies that were not managed really took a different look at it, and you had a lot of corporations really wanting to get involved with an agency. And I think the predictive analysis that we can do and the benchmarking tools that we utilize can really show the value of working with the TMC. Because you can help them and assist them with making the right decisions as it relates to negotiating with their suppliers, et cetera. So, you know, data is key and really very influential when it comes to really showing our value, if you will.
Alex, what are your thoughts on that?
So I wonder how much the procurement departments put value on human capital. But I think at the end of the day, on top of all of this stuff that we talk about, one of the things that we do, like our vacation partners, we take care of the customer. We make sure that they get to where they need to go. And if they have problems getting there, we help them and make sure we do duty of care. We take care of all of that side of the business too, and there's an absolute ROI there as well. And I think that if you get the C-suite to understand how those two things fit together, you have a really powerful program, and you can save a lot of money, and you can retain really, really good talent because you take care of those people when they're on the road representing your company or selling your company.
Dave?
Yeah, I think there might be it might be a commodity to a certain extent, but the commodity part of it is the technology that we're all providing. It's all the same,
Right.
or very similar. Surprisingly, Eric said something very intelligent at the end of his presentation. Where is he? Oh, he's right there. I normally don't listen to Eric, but I did. And it's the personal difference. It's that personal touch. And corporations want that as well. There's a big competitor of ours out in the business, in the corporate side of the world right now, that's taken business with a real flashy interface. And we're getting a lot of those accounts back because there's zero personal service, there's zero understanding of what that corporation wants. So most of our accounts want that piece, that personal touch. They want to be able to talk to someone now who knows them by name. And AI, bigger tech companies don't do that.
Well, I think if you really sum it up in 3 words, you know, it's about relationships. This industry is about building relationships. And 3 words that I love to use is collaboration, communication, and education. And the more that you can collaborate, communicate, and really educate your customer, the stronger partnership and relationship you're going to have.
Kathy, I love that because that's sort of, you know, it's a nice segue, right, from the meeting. The conversation we had earlier today was around communication, education, and collaboration. And so it sort of joins the two together between corporate travel and leisure travel. Both really depends on the relationships that you have with the customer and how those things proceed. I'll do this next question a little bit as a speed round, but we'll just do, if you could just sort of give me, we'll just go down the line. What are 1 to 2 policy rules that can save companies the most money today?
Well, again, I can just, in experience right now, I've got a lot of companies looking at changing their policy, you know, the time differential for first class, business class. Most of those organizations have a global footprint, so they're looking at changing their policy to obviously look at savings.
So we're a mid-market corporate agency. Most of our customers spend between $5 and $15 million a year in travel. One of our biggest challenges is program adoption. Make sure that all of the travelers understand the value that we bring to the table, the ROI that we talked about. We've known about those numbers for years, and Dave, I'm right there with you. I think that number is closer to 25 or 30%, especially on an unmanaged piece of business. And so making sure that the rank and file, if you will, the traveling population within the organization understands the why behind the travel program and why they really shouldn't do it by themselves and really shouldn't go it alone. That's a big motivator and driver of success within the program.
Okay.
So I'm going to say the same thing, but with one word, mandate.
Yeah.
It has to be mandated. And so for a company really to take advantage of the savings, it has to be 100% mandated, not ifs, ands, or buts of why. Yeah, I didn't really want to use this because my friends traveled on this, whatever millions of reasons. Everyone needs to use the program to maximize the benefit of 20% to 30%, wherever you want to go. It's a significant number.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Jay. I wasn't going to say mandate because none of our corporations want to hear that word. They won't agree to it. They won't support it. But use the booking source that's been negotiated for your policy. If you do that, you can't track what you don't know, right? You can't tell if you're getting hotel rates, the best hotel rates, if you can't track those and catch that data. So use the booking source that's negotiated in the policy. If you do that, you're going to get the most savings.
Great, thanks. So let's shift from ROI to traveler care and duty of care, obviously. And again, duty of care came up in the earlier conversation, but to me, it's sort of core to what we're doing for our customers. But Jay, we'll start with you. What new risk, like global tensions and shifting trade rules, how should travel programs expand beyond safety to build resilience?
Yeah, duty of care, also known as, and I think maybe a more acceptable phrase is also risk management. Many companies have those departments, risk management departments. Duty of care is kind of, I think, often gets lost in the lexicon. But risk management is, you look at your phone, you see what's going on around the world, not only just overseas, but also in the U.S. There's in some cases, fear. But the bottom line is every company that sends their employees out traveling is liable. They are absolutely liable for their well-being, that they're in a safe hotel, that their flight was a safe flight as well. But anything that happens out there, they are liable. So to have the ability to track, to know, and we have to use careful those words track because people don't always like hearing that, but to have the ability to know where their travelers are at any time, should something happen, should there be some kind of disruption, an earthquake, whatever it might be, have the ability to get them out. So having that technology and multiple layers of technology is absolutely critical.
I mean, you end up with somebody who just says, I have a credit card that the company's given me, and I need to go see a customer in X. And they just go online or do whatever, and they book and they go. And they tell somebody in the organization, or maybe they don't tell anybody that they're going to be out of the office for a couple of days. That's huge risk on your behalf. And multiply that by 5, 10, 20, 30 employees that are traveling at any given time. And corporations need to understand that's a real liability on their part.
Well, and companies are really doing that right now because of the reporting and the tools that we have in play that we can communicate to them, the exceptions, the folks that are not following the rules. They're really starting to come down hard on that. Again, having a travel policy and then also having a risk policy. And it goes back to my 3 favorite words, making sure, though, that everyone in the organization has a place to go to find out what that policy is and exactly what they can and cannot do, and then communicating that, and then that continuum. I mean, you can't just put a risk policy in play and put it up to the side. It's something that has to continue to evolve. I mean, look at what's happening in the world right now. It's not terrorism necessarily. It's all kinds of different issues that arise.
Yeah.
So again, going back to that communication piece and ensuring that everybody has the right information and understand, people want to do the right thing. But again, getting the report that helps identify who is not and then taking the next step to educate those travelers is a win situation for both.
Excellent.
If I can go back to that mandate word again.
Yep.
Yeah.
If somebody is not using the system, if they're going outside the system, they're not in policy with risk management. So they have no idea where their employees are if they don't use the system. And that's critical, and that could cost companies money and a lot of issues.
And I would also point out, the vast majority of our clients don't have a full-time travel manager.
Right.
They don't have somebody within the organization that is solely responsible for travel. And so not having a comprehensive program, not creating a mandate or at least a high level of participation among your employees, and that all comes from the TMC. And we all talk about it all the time, and so it's sort of second nature to us. But when we get in front of customers who don't use a travel management company and explain some of the exposure that they have and the methodologies that we use to get people to actually adopt the programs, you get a lot of heads nodding around the table.
Right, right. I like the rebranding from duty of care to risk management, though. I think that's probably a better way to approach it. We'll put duty of care back there with mandate somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kathy, which accessibility improvements make the biggest real-world difference for travelers?
Well, having accessibility to the tools, obviously, obviously. And in today's environment, traveler satisfaction is really numero uno on most corporations' lists. They want to have the right tools in play, but they really want to ensure that their travelers are taken care of. And so by having the necessary tools, educating everybody on those tools really lends itself to achieving that goal and satisfaction.
So really for everybody, but I'm sort of curious, we talked about AI earlier and sort of this conversation about that we're using it as part of our overall role, but which AI assistants actually make service faster and more accurate, in your all's opinion?
Well, we're using several different companies right now for different reasons, and I think that we're using it right now for our traditional agents. For the most part. We've used some Copilot and some other things for our sales teams. Again, I think the last group said it great. AI is fantastic, and it really can help improve productivity and achieve what you're trying to achieve there. But again, you're never going to take the human element out of it, or you shouldn't take the human element out of it.
Right. Jay?
So, as already quoted earlier, Joshua, we use Word and Excel, PowerPoint, and AI too. But it's evolving. It's absolutely evolving. We're all trying to see what the benefits are in many different ways. You know, certainly we're looking at how we can improve it on a transaction level. We're bringing on an online booking tool that actually has AI in its name. So it's fascinating how it's evolving. It's evolving quickly. But yes, again, as Kathy mentioned, nothing is going to replace that human factor that's behind it.
Alex, what are the most effective experiments you've been running with AI or inside booking tools or other travel apps you might be using for your customers?
Lee, so help me out. AI is what? I'm sorry? We don't talk about
Artificial.
it. I've never. So it's almost too hard to even try and get your arms around it because the potential is enormous. And I think that we spend a lot of time talking about, oh, well, I'm afraid it's going to do this or do that. And I've spent 20 years in this industry watching us be afraid of the next thing. Eric brought up the 800 numbers, right? And the internet, and you name it, right? Go down the line. And at the end of the day, it's a tool that we can use to help make everything about what we do faster, better, smarter. And so one of the things that we're using it for mostly is we get huge group manifests that come through the door, and there's 250 people that need to get from all over the country to someplace relatively in the same amount of time. The ability for AI to go through those lists, sort things out, get people bucketed in the right places, and not make mistakes. This isn't information retrieval mistakes. This is just analytical. And so the speed in which they can come to the table with that is outstanding. And that's just one example of where we're putting it in place. The human error, the human element needs to come in and obviously pick up that information and then implement it. But that's been a huge time saver for us.
All right,
I think with this, with the AI introduction though, again, the most important is that we want our agents to interact with the customer and deliver that high quality of service. So if there's something that AI can do to make those agents more productive, to focus on that individual customer, the more successful we're going to be in the utilization of AI.
Yeah.
So, staying on the theme of ROI, let's talk a little bit about what's the right threshold. Dave, I'll start with you. What's the right threshold for deciding if a meeting should be virtual, hybrid, or in person?
I think it depends on what the purpose of your meeting is. Like the purpose of this meeting is to meet with our Congress people. That can't be done virtually. We've tried to do it it was done virtually, but not to the same success as meeting in person. I think if you're training someone, virtual can work just fine. What you'll all probably find, if this is your first meeting here, what you're going to find is that in the dinners and the cocktail parties, the people you talk to, and you go up and say, hey, I heard you talk on the panel today, or I heard you talking in the corner, those types of things are lost in a virtual meeting. So if you're just going to strictly train your staff, go virtual and save some money on the travel. If you want to get the biggest bang for your meeting, you have to have that interpersonal thing. It's the thing we've all been talking about on both panels today, and it's the personal touch. It's that personal interaction with other people and talking to them and getting their feedback. So I think it depends on the purpose of your meeting.
Yeah.
Alex, what are your thoughts?
I don't think there's a rote answer to the question, but I remember back in 2019 we had a lot of corporate clients that were very interested in trying to curtail the regional face-to-face meetings that we were coordinating for their companies, and they would take the Western region and they would meet in Vegas, and they were in Chicago in the Central, and they would have these meetings. Like, why are 15 or 20 people spending 3 days in Chicago? And this doesn't make sense. And we were actually having travel policies be implemented to pull away from that. And one of the things, if the pandemic did anything, it showed us that this face-to-face, in-person meetings are critically important to success, and business success in particular. And so the script for us is completely shifted and flipped. We are doing more 10, 20, 30-person small group meetings than we were doing before 2019, and getting the full endorsement from our corporations. So the in-person stuff seems to have gone much higher, and I think everybody's getting a little worn out of seeing 14, 25 faces on the computer screen, and everybody's looking like this. It's like, no, thank you.
I would agree. I think that COVID really did everybody. I know now I work from a home office, which I absolutely hate. I know I might be rare, but I liked, I was at headquarters. I loved the interaction, walking down the hall. I could get more stuff done walking around than sitting in front of teams. So I've had a lot of customers, though, look at internal meetings and really curtailing those. But when it comes to getting in front of their customers, that's really where the shift has been. And having more of those customer meetings that they originally had curtailed in 21 and 22, and now starting to your point, there are so many more meetings happening within the companies trying to just, again, connect with their clients.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd just like to, probably many people in this room were on the ASTA Global Conference virtual meeting in 2020. Yep. Who was on that meeting? It was amazing how ASTA turned that around and was able to put together the detail of what they put together for that virtual meeting. There were chat rooms, there were separate meeting rooms, there were all kinds of things. The technology was incredible, and how they did that so fast still amazes me. But everybody that I talked to from that meeting walked away flat. It's like, that wasn't like a conference. That wasn't like the new travel advisor conferences where you go and you rekindle friendships. None of that took place. So the technology is there to do these types of meetings and trips, but do you get the same results? And again, if you're looking for people-to-people results, I don't think you're going to get those on the virtual meetings.
Well, let's face it, this industry is about people to people.
Right.
I mean, those of us that have been in that's what it's about. You're people.
Yeah, I had a long time ago, I had a conversation. We subscribed to a new phone service provider, and they want to do all their training over the phone. And I said, we're in travel because we want to see people face to face. And he sort of came back with these. He says, well, that's why we're in the phone, because we want you to do it over the line. But I said, at the end of the day, I'm the customer, so you're going to do it face to face. So made it happen there. But I agree, it's all about the relationships. And I think, you would get 100% of the hands held up if somebody said, are you establishing a better relationship by having a conversation face to face versus over the phone, or over Teams, or whatever the particular platform may be.
Lee, as good as this panel is, and of course the last panel.
Yep.
usually about 50% of the good work is done outside the room.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, with the connections and the conversation. I don't know what that number's correct or not, but that's where it takes place. And that's a result of these kind of events.
Yeah.
I think it's more important now because, a lot of us are working virtual, so you sort of lost the old day of the water cooler conversations or the break room conversations in terms of how you're connecting with people. So you got to get together and learn. Yeah.
Yep. And I wouldn't be able to get a chance to really say happy birthday to Dave again, so.
For the 7th time this year, right?
There's an inside joke there, I'm sure.
Yeah, there is.
Yes, there is.
What if you?
We wouldn't have been able to see Alex's socks.
There you go.
Where did you get those really cool 100-year Delta socks? I'd like to get a pair. Others
have-
where
I
did you get
I
those?
have friends who work for that airline.
Matt's still here?
Is Matt here?
Yeah.
He'd be excited about that in general, for sure. All right, a lot of things going on today in the world. What global or political changes are the biggest risk to corporate travel demand right now? Jay?
Oh, gosh, where do you start?
Yep.
Where do you start? You have disruption, you have disturbance in the Middle East, Africa, the U.S. There's just some Ukraine. There's just so many places that's just disruption. But then you have political issues that are taking place with tariffs. So many things are impacting there. Part of our business, we had a percentage of our business that was humanitarian, which was also USAID, and that is pretty much gone. So there are so many different things that impact. What did you want for an answer on this?
Did I answer the question? Or?
Yeah, it's just, what are the biggest risks around it? What's happening in the space today that's really having an impact on corporate travel demand?
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of those things, and it's significant. It's just trying to stay ahead of the curve. Hitting that is whack-a-mole, as we all are used to. It's a game of whack-a-mole and trying to stay ahead of that. So many challenges.
I think one of the things that's we're hearing most back from our corporate clients is uncertainty. Nobody likes uncertainty.
Zane, did you hear that, Zane? Okay.
Just and that level of well, I don't know, and I don't know how this stuff is going to flow through the economy. I have no idea where people aren't retiring because they're kind of sitting on their hands. They're like, I'm not sure what the market's going to do, and there's all these question marks that are floating around. A lot of it, not to get political, but are self-imposed.
Right.
A government shutdown is not a positive event that the business community looks at and says, "Whoa, I'm glad we're doing that." So that's a big problem.
Yeah, it's definitely having an impact on corporate travel. I mean, obviously it's not shut down, but companies are seriously looking at it. And again, back to the duty of care and the risk management, they're not going to put their travelers in harm's way. So, there's those kinds of conversations that are going on.
So I need some help from all of you to help me get out of the hole I dug for myself when I mentioned that leisure travel might be the fluff part of the conversation. So for those that are encouraged now about corporate travel and the opportunities within corporate travel, and I'll just sort of pose this up for you all to kind of kick in on, but if you're starting a travel management company from scratch in 2025, which 3 capabilities would you buy first and why? Or build first, I'm sorry, not buy first, but build first.
Well, your team, you've got to build your team first, in my humble opinion.
Right.
If I'm building an organization, I want the people there with me that I know are going to help me achieve what I want to achieve with this new company.
Yeah.
And then technology obviously comes into play.
That's the big part of it. And like I said, I've been doing this for 20 years, and when we got into this business, my technology team was 2 people. Now it's 20. And they're not building technology, but they're customizing technology, and they're taking that business and making it work for every customer on an individual basis. That's one. The other thing, if I could roll the calendar back a decade, I'd spend more time in the hotel and hospitality schools around this country talking to them about corporate travel management, because they don't talk about it. And Oklahoma State University has an amazing hospitality program. It's wonderful. They don't talk about corporate travel management. They don't talk about the fact that Amazon, Deloitte, you name it, go down the list of every major corporation that's successful in this country uses a travel management company for a reason. Because they waste money? Doubtful. because they're really good at what they do. And finding people who understand that understand that there's a career track to be an advisor, sure. You can make more money being a vacation advisor today than you probably could 20 years ago. You can certainly make a great living being a corporate travel executive, a management person, an account manager, you name it, industry relations, all of that. And that drives me crazy. So if there's any educators in here, let's talk about that.
Jay?
So far, I think we're on the same page. The number one thing is people. And right now, it's a massive transition. It's a massive transition from green screen to graphical, and that's taking place today. The graphical still isn't 100%. Oh, by the way, did I throw in NDC? So we have to deal with
What
it.
is that?
NDC.
Could you describe NDC for us, Jay?
No dummies. Yeah, no dummies couldn't do. No,
We
no.
only have 10 minutes.
So the industry, corporate, but also on the leisure side, is going through significant challenges when it comes to bringing new people into the industry. But people first, and what are their skills? What's their aptitude when it comes to all the evolution that's taken place? The number two thing are the tools, and for technology, but tools, which I would also include not just technology, but process. Making sure they have the correct process in understanding how our clients want to be served, and what the process is to create an efficient environment. So definitely process, technology in 2 and 3, and then 1, people.
Why don't you wrap us up now? It's your birthday.
What's left, you know? I would agree with all that. I think if I were starting, because the way I took the question initially when we talked about it before was you're starting from scratch. It would be people, and I wouldn't require travel training, travel backgrounds. I would hire people for the people they are.
Right.
Are they open to new ideas? Are they thoughtful? Can they think? I've got a great staff, but I've got about half of them that can't think. I mean, I can tell them what to do, and they do it great, and they're great employees. But if I said, here's a project, and I want you to develop it, that's a different story. And not everybody has that capability. So I would start at the ground, the basic ground, and to hire people that can do those kind of things. And then we'll worry about learning what travel's all about.
We got a few minutes left. I think we got an opportunity for some questions. Michael? And thank you all very much. I mean, it's been a fun conversation to have. Hope you've enjoyed it.
Okay, so you mentioned that.
Oh, we got mics coming. We got mics.
Hi, you mentioned that, corporate travel is, the uncertainty that happens. How much of also corporate travel has been like companies trying to cut prices, cut costs, and how do you counter that?
Oh, well, corporations are always wanting to renegotiate their deals, right, and look at cost savings. But again, I think we talked earlier about the return on investment, and I think that if you can show them the value of what you're providing to them, in other words, we've become we're consultants. We are helping them negotiate their contracts with the suppliers. We are sitting down and analyzing their data and helping them, directing them to make the right decisions, timely decisions that are going to impact their programs. And that's really where I go back to that point, and that's how, again, I just bring it full circle back to them. This is what the value of what I've brought to you. These are the savings, these are the achievements that we've made together. I think you also have to really listen to your customer. The first point is listening. What are they really trying to achieve? What are they really trying to define within their program? What are their goals and objectives? And everybody wants to save money, but really what's behind all of this? And then really understanding that and putting the right program in play, doing the right analytics and utilizing the right benchmarking will help you retain that customers.
I would say too, in very tough economic times, there is a long history of people cutting what we consider to be controllable costs, right? Advertising is usually one of the ones at the top of the list, right? We're going to stop advertising because and there isn't a company that didn't regret doing that at some point. And when you sort of take a step back and say, is cutting our travel budget the right thing to do? Is it not to get in front of our customers and not go out and try and get new business even in a tough environment? Those are all mistakes that we can lay out examples of why that's really not a good idea. They don't always take the advice, and then we get to talk to them 3 years later, like, how's your sales growth going? No, stagnant? Okay, well, let's talk about raising your travel budget. So
Companies are obviously always interested in saving money, and that is our mission, is to help them save money, but also understanding what their needs are. What is the balance between saving money and help them make practical decisions? We don't make the decisions for them. We give them the options to make those decisions. But having the tools in place between the analytics, between the reporting, the data, and so on. But what's always interesting is, you have a company that comes in and they want to save some money. They want to save money on transaction fees. Okay, well, let's have a conversation about that. So a transaction fee, typically, give or take a couple, it's usually about 2%. Represent 2% of a total travel spend. So do you want to focus on the 2%, or you want to help us focus on the 98%? And that's really where it lands, and that's where we can affect change on that 98%.
Another question?
Yes, thank you. This panel, as well as the previous one, is this on?
Yeah.
Refers to AI, but AI is really just a category. You Word, Excel, and AI, but AI is not an app. Can you give us some real-world examples of how this technology applies to what you guys do?
who wants to take that?
I'll attempt. I'm sure my colleagues can help you here. But how we're using it is interpretation of emails. So agents get a ton of emails. So we're trying to make the agents much more productive. So we're utilizing AI to read these emails and respond to these emails so that, again, it takes away, and then the agent is following up and making sure that their response is adequate and correct. We did this test for like 2 years on this AI that we're now releasing out to our traditional agents. And it's been very, very successful.
Schedule changes? Yep. Anybody have to do schedule changes for the airlines, right? For their customers?
Yep.
AI is really good at identifying the necessity for a schedule change and actually making that schedule change for the customer. So there's just now you're it's above my pay grade. There are programmers and there's organizations that are doing that work for us.
We're utilizing Oversee. Oversee is a company that we're utilizing. We're also utilizing Amgen.
Amgen, Oversee, both of those, yeah.
We've used Amgen in the past. Part of it's around, you get so many email requests, especially as it's been moving more away from phone into email or text, is that you get a lot of incomplete requests. There's data points that are missing. So the AI can respond back to the sender. Can you tell me the dates that you needed or the time that you needed? Or they may even leave out the city sometimes. But it understands that there's some basic elements around the response that we need to book the travel. So it solves that conversation between the agent and the traveler.
Mark?
Thank you. I would love to hear the panel's impression or interpretation of what the companies that you help support as TMCs, what's their stance on traveler well-being? If you put me in a hotel that's 20 miles away from my meeting, I'm going to be exhausted, et cetera. It's going to impact, because we've talked a lot about cost savings. There's also the need to make money, too. And if I do a good job as a salesperson, et cetera, sell the product because I'm happy as the traveler, I'm probably going to do a better job for you. Do you get feedback and input from your companies that you would support in that regard?
Absolutely.
Yeah, our clientele is more small to medium-sized corporate accounts, and the vast majority, if not all of them, traveler comfort and security are the number one things they're concerned about. It's not saving $100 off the airline ticket or $50 off the hotel rate. I don't know if that's what you're asking, but with us, it's almost across the board. That's their priority.
We have a client that almost all of their travelers fly internationally. And they had right before the pandemic, a procurement-driven initiative internally where procurement, who doesn't travel very much, came in and said no more first class, no more business class. You're going over to Europe. You're going to fly in the back of the bus, and we're going to save hundreds of thousands of dollars. And literally a mutiny. And the sales manager and the account management group got up and said, look, when our people get on that airplane, we want them to get a meal, we want them to get sleep. When they hit the ground running and they go to work, as opposed to going to their hotel and trying to get 4 or 5 hours of sleep and being groggy and not being as productive as we need them to be. And so the people that know, you know, right? If you know, you know. And there is a real push and pull between, and I just used the generic sort of procurement term, but that and the people that are really out in the field traveling. Most of the time, those arguments win.
Most companies are really, I mean, that's one of the things that we talk about when we have our reviews is traveler engagement. And so we've developed some technology, some tools that we put on their portal to help, again, communicate. We do surveys. Again, it's all about the individual traveler. They want to retain good people. And a lot of companies right now, when they have the younger generation coming in, one of the first things they want to see when they're it's more of they're interviewing the organization. What is your travel policy? Can I do leisure? If I'm on a trip and blah, blah, blah. I know, he hates that word, leisure. But in any event, yes, there's a lot of focus on traveler well-being in today's programs with most corporations.
It's a big deal. I mean, you often used to hear, get us the lowest fare. It's not really the lowest. We often say it's not the lowest fare, it's the lowest logical fare. And so that we're always, it's the importance also of the account management team. The account managers have to know exactly what they're thinking, what the policies are coming out from the companies proactively, so they can help them, again, make those decisions.
All right, I'm getting a red
So-
flashing light. I'm not sure if we can
Just
extend or not.
a quick
From-
question. When you talk about risk management, et cetera, so I've been a road warrior, had to travel on my own, and do you have apps that actually tell you the safety of certain hotels in certain areas, whether they have multiple entrances and exits and things like that? Because I've actually been a few times very scared walking to my room when someone's following me and wondering if that's addressed and if there's an issue.
There are actually apps that will let you know that an emergency event is happening in that area. Police raid, that kind of thing.
I'm thinking more multiple entrances and exits, the safety of a particular hotel.
Sure.
Some corporations do that when they're doing their hotel RFPs, and we're helping them with that process, whether it's through Advito, our consulting arm, or through the program manager. They want us to seek those types of things out on behalf of their travelers. So again, I think more corporations are looking at that as part of their RFP process when they're sourcing hotels.
Well, thank you all very much. Thank you, panel. Really appreciate the
Thank you.
conversation. Yeah.
And with that, our time together here is over. But I have some good news. We get to spend more time tomorrow, and your day starts at 8 a.m. Hooray. So our breakfast starts at 8 a.m. I know quite a few of you also have not done registration. That also opens at 8 a.m. at the hotel. So although you can start eating breakfast at 8 a.m., our content doesn't start until 9. So if you're a little bit of a late riser like some of us, you can get there a little bit later if you want to do breakfast on your own. So with that, It is a night on your own tonight. I know some people already have pre-plans, but there's no official ASTA programming tonight. And the buses are right where you left them. They are all staged downstairs ready for you. So thank you so much. We will see you tomorrow morning. And I have made this for the people on the live stream. We are going to send this recording out to everybody. It'll be available on our social media shortly. Thank you.